Hey, welcome back. So today we're going to be looking at the 3 different ways that 3 pro guitarists do their 3-string sweeps. So you've got, first up, Rusty Cooley. He uses like the traditional by-the-book method, where you've got 2-way pick slanting going and your direction changes are done with inside picking. Then you've got the Malmsteen approach, which is not 2-way pick slanted, it's all downward pick slanted, and the direction change is done with an outside string cross. And then you've got the Andy James method, which is probably the most fluid and fun out of all of them, which is where you sweep the downward portion and then use legato for the other direction. So let's look at these different styles, and please remember to subscribe. Cheers. So this is the technique that Rusty Cooley uses, and this is actually the traditional or classic or by-the-book technique when it comes to sweeping. It's the most true to economy picking and sweep picking in that you're slanting in the direction that you're picking, and your direction changes are done with inside picking. So let's look at this. Now this is the technique that I've been showing you in all of the sweep picking tutorials up until now, so this might already be familiar to you, but I'll recap it anyway. So with upward pick slanting, it starts with an upstroke. We then pull off, upstroke the B, and then for this G string, the next upstroke is actually like a rotational cross pick motion. And the reason we do this, well, there are 2 reasons we do this. The first reason is that it lifts your pick up into the air, ready to come back over the top of the G string. And the second reason is it changes your slant from upward slanting to downward slanting, so that you're ready to sweep in the opposite direction. So, with upwards pick slanting, it's upstroke, pull off, upstroke, rotational motion for that upstroke there, downstroke on the B, downstroke on the high E, and then upstroke to finish the circuit. Now I think this is the most difficult out of the 3 techniques for 2 reasons. Coming back over the G string like that, there's a tiny margin of error. If you clip it a second time on your way back over, you're going to fall flat on your face and the sweep is going to be ruined. And the other thing which is difficult about this and might put off some people is that it does require the use of 2-way pick slanting. So if you don't know what that is, or you can't be bothered learning, then this technique probably isn't for you. So the second technique is the Yngwie Malmsteen technique, and it's actually incredibly common and popular, and it's different in this way. So it's an upstroke using only downward pick slanting for this, so there's no upward like in technique number 1. We do an upstroke, pull off, and then we do a second upstroke on the B string, and the pick actually jumps across to the far side of the G string, so that's our outside picking direction change. And then from there, it's just 3 downstrokes in a row. And then the upstroke to finish the circuit. Now I think this is a lot easier than the first technique, and I think that's why it's a lot more popular as well. Now it's easier because, as I said, you don't have to change your pick slant when you're doing this. You can keep a downward pick slant the whole time. And for some reason, I think a lot of people find that outside string cross a lot easier than the inside string cross from technique number 1. So, Andy James. If you haven't heard of him, he's one of the best metal guitarists out there in the world right now. And I was watching one of his videos on 3-string sweeps just recently, and I noticed that he was doing something truly wonderful. He had found a wonderful workaround to the problem, which is 3-string arpeggios. He sweeps the downward half and uses legato for the other half. Let's take a look at that right now. So what he does is, it's just like the the Malmsteen technique, where you keep a downward pick slant the whole time, so you've got that advantage of not having to switch. So it's an upstroke as usual, and pull off. And then as this is happening, your pick is making its way slowly to the far side of the G string. So upstroke, pull off, and then hammer onto the B string. And then 3 downstrokes in a row. This is actually a really great technique. It's incredibly easy. You can get great results, and it has a lovely fluid sound to it. There is just one downfall to this technique, one little spot where it completely falls to bits, and that's when you've got a finger roll shape. So if you were to take this, for instance, like the finger roll major 3-string arpeggio, where you're barring, you're rolling on the high E and on the B. You can't do this with the Andy James technique, because you can't simultaneously roll and do a hammer-on, not effectively at least. But apart from that, if you're doing regular 3-string arpeggios where there's no rolling, this is a truly fantastic technique. You may have noticed the gorgeous pick that I've been using during this video. Well, it's a Hawk pick, and it's a 1.4mm Tonebird 8 in green abalone. I only use these picks now. In fact, I swear by them. The first time I used them, I was blown away by how smooth they are and how low friction they are in relation to the strings. I can honestly get about 10 to 15 beats per minute faster just by using this brand of picks. So that just goes to tell you just how crappy those cheap plastic picks are that you get from everyday music stores. So if you're wanting to get serious about guitar, and if you want a pick which represents the time and effort that you've put into lead guitar, I definitely recommend that you head on over to their website, that's hawkpicks.co.uk, and browse their selection, and perhaps consider buying one of these. And do me a personal favour, and tell them that I sent you. Thanks very much.